Good evening, everyone. Hello. Let me set up. Okay. Hello. Okay. I'm almost there. Let me finalize my setup. Okay. Good evening, everyone. How has your day been? I hope you had a great day today. Mine was splendid behind the computer all, almost all day. But it was great. I hope you won. I hope you were able to do what you say you would do today. This life was not planned. This life was not planned at all. But this life came as a result of the conversation I had. So let me start tonight a little different from what you used to. A few days ago, one of my listeners reached out to me. He didn't reach out to complain for attention. He didn't reach out to gossip. He reached out because he was tired. He started telling me about his job. He was telling me about his leader, about decisions that didn't make sense. And obviously, those decisions he talked about, they were kind of senseless if you actually look at it from the point of reasoning. He was talking about being overlooked in his place of work. He was feeling unseen. And as he kept talking, I could hear it in his voice that this wasn't just frustration, this was fatigue. Not the kind of tired that sleep can fix, that when you're tired, you need to go take a nap. Not that kind. The kind of tired that comes from holding back who you are, from feeling stagnated. And then I noticed something else because I was listening closely. His language began to shift to the left. It wasn't just venting anymore. It was starting to sound like someone who wanted to correct his leader. Please listen carefully. It was sounding like someone who was getting set to go challenge the leader. Like, put your leader in the place he belongs. Show him where he belongs. I stopped him on his tracks. Not because he was wrong for how he felt, but because I could see where this road ends. I said to him, listen to me carefully, dude. If you keep going down this road, you're going to hurt yourself more than you help yourself. So it's not about the leader now, it's about you. Because when frustration turns into confrontation and disappointment turns into anger, that's usually not courage. That's a sign you've stayed too long in a place you've already overgrown. And then I said something that made him go quiet. I said, it is not your role to change your leader. The best thing you can do for your life is to change your address. What do I mean by that? Whoever you're dealing with as a leader over you, either in your place of work or in any place of engagement. Even if the leader is making so many mistakes or not getting things the way he's supposed to do it, it is not your role, you being in middle leadership, to change the leader. The best you could do at that time is to change your address nobly, without bad mouthing and destroying what you've created with time. And after that conversation ended, I sat with the whole conversation for a while. After talking to him, I sat down for a while. I tried to replay the whole things I said to him and replay the scenario again. And something hit me real hard. This wasn't just his own situation. It's not the only one here, I thought to myself. Many of us, many people are at this point in our lives today. Many people are at this point in their lives. Now, it's not because we or they are ungrateful, not because they are rebellious, not because they are lazy, but because they are tired. Tired of shrinking, tired of explaining themselves, tired of carrying vision in environment that don't, those kind of environment that don't value growth. And that's when I decided this could not stay a private conversation. This needed to be a public one. This is the reason for this live. Because when frustration starts turning into confrontation, when disappointment starts turning into resentment, when respect starts turning into resistance, that's not rebellion. That's a signal that you're standing at the crossroad. And the danger is not how you feel. No, it's not how you feel. The danger is what you do next. That's why I decided to have this talk tonight. For those of you that are live with me online, thank you so much for joining this live. And for those that will be watching this recording later in the day, thank you too. Please, listen carefully. Stay with me on this. The reason why I decided to have this talk this night is not to tell you to quit. It's not to tell you what to attack, but to help you see clearly before frustration pushes you into decisions that will cost you your future. One of the things that came to my mind is, why is this stage that my listener was in, why is it common? So I had to start looking at it from that angle. Why is it common, this particular stage? Let's talk about why many people end up here. We were taught that loyalty means staying. Loyalty means staying. You stay put. That endurance equals strength. That leaving means failure. When you leave, it's failure. But nobody taught us this. Staying too long in the wrong environment will slowly drain the right version of you. Most people don't break all at once. I said something like that about relationship yesterday. They fade. People just fade gradually. They become quieter. Have you seen somebody in your place of work or place of engagement that is up and doing, and all of a sudden it starts withdrawing? That's fading quietly. So these people become smaller. They become less expressive. They become less expressive. Not because they lost ability, but because they stopped being received. They stopped being received. Now, when this happens, one of the biggest danger you might find yourself quickly want to get into is the danger of trying to change your leader. You think your leader is not getting the job done properly, like if you're there, you get it, you do it better and stuff like that. At first, trying to change your leader feels noble. It feels like the right thing to do, but it comes at a cost. It comes at a cost. You start carrying emotional weight that was never yours to hold in the first place. You become tense, you become reactive, you become defensive. The more you try to prove yourself, the more invisible you become. Because familiarity doesn't breed promotion, it breeds containment. And a leader who feels threatened by growth will always manage potential instead of developing it. Because of this attitude you start showing, the leader also starts seeing you as a threat. But if you stay in that kind of environment for too long, what will it cost you? I also looked at that. What is the cost of remaining in this kind of environment for too long? Now remember, this is not just a toxic environment. We're not talking about a toxic environment here. We're trying to talk about an environment that you have overgrown, or you have outgrown the environment. All right? Let's count the cost for a second. It will cost you energy, for sure. It will cost you joy. It will cost you peace. It will cost you creativity, It will even cost you confidence. You wake up tired before the day even starts. When it's Sunday evening after the football game, you get into a depressed state because Monday is coming. Les Brown do say you start having mini stroke because Monday morning is coming. And the scariest part, you start believing this is just how life is. That is one of the reasons why I decided to have this conversation with the followers of my channel, those that have subscribed, those that listen to me. Because while we talk about motivation and getting things done the right way, we might be placed in an environment where we've completely outgrown. And because of resentment and how things are going, we now just believe that this is how life is. There's no level of motivation we're going to get motivated that will take us out of, that will change things, because we are in a perpetual state where we now see life just from this lens alone. Wow. I came to tell you tonight that this is not how life is. And definitely that's not how life is. It is just how this environment you find yourself is. Now you hear people say you need a lot of you need attitude, you need altitude, you need all this. In this case, you don't need any motivation, you don't need a new altitude. You need a change of address. I tell you the truth, you need a new address. Let me free someone tonight. The way I freed the guy that we had this conversation initially with. I do believe this is for somebody going through a special time in his area of engagement, wherever it is, maybe place of work, maybe place of study, or place of domicile. You don't need to be louder. You don't need to explain better. You don't need to wait longer. You need alignment. Because in the right environment, growth is normal, vision is welcome, excellence is expected. You don't beg to be seen, you are recognized. Now, you might want to ask me, Matt, you just said all this nice stuff. What are the signs? What do you think? When do you think is the right time to say, okay, it's time to move? These are not the only signs in the world that shows you that, but these are top of the list that will definitely let you know, dude, it's time to check out. When you're productive or you're stagnant, you know you're productive, you are productive. It's not only you that knows, you know, and everyone around you knows, but you're stagnant. Productivity means moving forward a little bit. You move forward from where you are, even if it's just a little bit, but you know that you've moved from point A to point A.1, even if you don't get to B yet. That's being productive. But when you're productive and you're still in the same spot, man, that's one of the signs. You're praised privately, but blocked publicly. I've seen this in the office place, or I've seen this I've seen this in scenarios that played out with a couple of people, and I'm looking at how are they going to react. You're praised privately, but in the public you're blocked. That's a warning sign. You are needed, but not developed. So the skills that you have today, what you bring to the table is needed. But when you ask for more, when you say, I need to run this program, I need to go for this developmental course, I need to study more, nobody talks about that. Whoa. That means you're being drained and nothing new is coming in. Man, that's a warning sign. That's a big one. You're tolerated but not celebrated. When things happen good, nobody talks about it. But when things happen bad, it is tooted at the top of the trumpet. Everybody hears it. And people see you as a charity case. You're not celebrated, you're simply tolerated. It's not humility if I tell you to stay in that kind of environment. It is not. I call that fear wearing a loyalty costume. Fear dressed in a loyalty costume. When you see these signs, I talked about, it is time to check out. It is time to move. But one thing I want to talk about here is when you're moving, leave without bitterness. It is very important. Changing your address doesn't mean you burn bridges. No. Changing your address doesn't mean you burn bridges. It means maturity. You honor the season without overstaying the season. You live with clarity and not with resentment. Because bitterness ties you to the place you're trying to escape. So if you're bitter, you get tied. Even when you leave, emotionally you're connected to that place you're trying to escape. So leaving should be done without resentment. It's been great having this conversation, seriously. When I spoke to this guy today, he left with a lot of smiles, and I was so happy about it. But this is something that we need to look at as a general public. When you're changing your address, when you feel you overstayed an environment, you're now bigger, you've now outgrown that environment. When you're leaving, you don't leave with resentment. You leave knowing that you built something there. Because if you live with resentment, emotionally, you're gone when your mind is still there. You always feel you hear people talking about, oh, what they did to me in that place. Oh, do you know I worked with these people for 20 years and they treated me like this? If you hear somebody saying those kind of stuff, he's still stuck. Though he has changed his address, he's still stuck in the past. Sometime I came across someone that said, oh, Matt, you worked in that company? I'm like, yeah, I worked there. And he was like, oh, I worked there. We started that company and I was paid with this. In my mind, I'm like, oh, you're still there. You've not moved. You just changed physical address. Emotionally, you're still tied to that company. You'll just be surprised to know that that person can't even drive past that street anymore because he feels aggrieved. He has actually changed his physical address, but emotionally, he still lives there. And that company lives in his head rent-free. So when you live in a place, when you feel it's time to go, when you feel this place doesn't serve what it promises to serve, don't run away and don't live with resentment. Live holding your head high. I have given what I can give. I think it's time to go check out somewhere else. Don't burn bridges. You still need it, or you might still need it. Let me leave you with this. If you're growing and your environment isn't growing, it's not your role to change your leader. This is not politics. And this is not democracy. You find yourself in a company, you've grown, you're now bigger than that company. It's not your role to change the leader. You find yourself in an engagement in a society. You've now grown at virtue of the exposure you've received or the openness of your mind. You've now grown more than what that company can contain or that engagement place can contain. Don't try to force what you've learned on the leader. It is not your role to change the leader. Your role is to change your address. Your future is waiting for a version of you that cannot be formed where you are currently standing. You just know that. You're like, oh, Matt, I can do more. You know, have you ever been in that position where you're like, I can do more? I've been there. I have been there where I felt I'm underused, I'm underutilized. And the best thing I did was to walk slowly out instead of remaining there and, sucking into myself, becoming defensive, becoming irritated by everything. No, I looked for the next exit and I went out because I felt this environment is no longer. I have grown more than this environment, and staying here will breed resentment. I'll do a live. I think since I've started this, I'll do a live tomorrow on loyalty and alignment. That topic has been in my mind for a long time. I think I wrote it down somewhere. I have a jotter for that. I'm going to get that jotter out tonight. On loyalty and resentment. It's going to help someone. I definitely know that because I have these conversations on day-to-day with people, and I do believe that it will help someone move. So if this message spoke to you, don't rush past it. Don't rush past it. Sit with it. Reflect on it. Be honest with yourself. And if this space helps you grow, stay connected. This is for people This channel is for people who refuse to die in places they've overgrown. People who say growth is possible. People who say, I need to learn how to move forward. Like I do say, no one person knows it all. We all learn and we grow. So if what I said made sense to you and you've not subscribed to this channel, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And also we have lots of videos and a lot of materials on our channel that you can listen to. And if there's anything that stands out to you and you want to ask more questions on that, please comment under the video. I do read the comments every now and then, and I do answer the questions. Like tonight's talk stemmed from a question raised by someone. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us. And if you're going to watch this later, thanks so much. And don't sit on this message. Share it out. Share it with someone that needs to hear this, because you might just be saving a life. Thank you so much. Do have a nice night. This is Matt Miller signing out. Peace.